Hey, you finally got the SC5.
Yeah, sure
awesome.
Did. It's nice, isn't it?
Oh yeah, right on. People have been waiting for that. It's beautiful.
Yeah, the SC5 is the sequential electronic 5-speed. It's shifted electric over hydraulic, using hydraulic pressure to operate the clutch and shift up and down. It's easy to operate. You have an upshift button where you manually upshift it using your thumb, and downshift using your forefinger.
Yeah, and I see you've got a reverse lockout button too, so that you can't shift it into reverse.
Yeah, that's a nice safety feature. It will downshift automatically based on speed and RPM, but it won't upshift until you signal it.
So it won't force it to upshift.
That's
It'll
correct.
stay on the rev limiter or whatever RPM you hold it.
Exactly.
Okay.
We're going to use this in the DVD because we're going to need to show some differences between this and the SM5. One being the oil tank. It's different because it has a separate oil line to feed the valve body.
Right. And we'll do the placement of the clutch solenoids and the shift solenoids.
Yeah, it's a little tough to see on this vehicle, so what I did was I got a SC5 engine assembly.
Right on.
And we're going to mount that, and we'll use that to show the solenoids and valve body and the clutch disassembly, things like that.
Yeah, I really want to see the clutch disassembly. That's going to be good.
But I need to take the SM5 engine off.
Okay.
And mount that SC5 engine on it.
Well, let's go do it right now.
Need some help.
All right.
All right, thanks a lot.
There's the Loctite we're going to need.
Hey, thanks a lot, Dennis.
All
hey,
right.
we got the SC5 engine all ready to go here.
Yeah, it's looking pretty high tech.
Pretty high tech, pretty interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, this is the valve body. This is the heart of the whole system, so to speak.
Okay.
It contains an oil pump. Here's a filter. Has a 12-bar regulator on the side to control the oil pressure. It also has a clutching solenoid, modulation solenoid, an upshift solenoid, and a downshift solenoid. What happens is when we go to shift it, we select the shift either manually or automatically in downshift mode. Then the transmission control module sends a signal first to the clutching solenoid, disengages the clutch, then either sends a signal to the upshift or downshift solenoid, depending on which one it wants to shift.
Right.
Then after the gearbox position sensor signals the transmission control module the shift has been made, it turns the clutching solenoid off and then modulates or turns the modulation solenoid on, which bleeds the hydraulic pressure off of the clutch and re-engages the clutch.
So these are the solenoids that actuate the oil pressure to move the shift lever down here?
Yes, it comes down to the shift shuttle piston down here.
Okay.
And attached to this is this rod.
Right.
And this rod is where your gear shift or foot lever would be on a manual transmission.
Exactly, yeah.
But it moves the hydraulic piston in this direction or in that direction to give it an up or downshift as required or selected by the TCM, what the driver needs. I think what we're going to need to do is do a animation during the DVD to see if, to help explain what the oil flow is.
To show them the oil flow, yeah, that would really be a benefit.
I spent a little bit of time last night and I assembled one. Do you want to take a look to see what it looks like?
Yeah, run me through it.
Sure, okay. You'll see here the different components, the clutch, you can see the shift shuttle and attached to the lever and the transmission.
Right.
And also you'll see the clutching solenoid, modulation solenoid, and the upshift and downshift solenoid.
So you've got an animated oil flow and it shows which solenoids are opening in the direction of the oil. Okay, sure.
Right, we're going to start from the oil tank. So the oil comes from the oil tank up through the oil pump, feeds through the clutching solenoid, back around, back through the oil pump in a continual loop.
Okay.
Okay, you see that?
Yep.
Then what we're going to do is engage the clutching solenoid once a shift has been commanded. Then oil can act on that 12-bar regulator. The pressure jumps up to 12 bars. And pressure at the same time goes to the clutch servo piston.
Okay.
And releases the clutch.
Okay, so the clutch is disengaged at that point.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So then we need to shift.
Now we'll activate the shift solenoid, send that pressure to one side of the shift shuttle.
Okay.
Push the shift shuttle piston over, which is attached to the rod, and engages either an upshift or downshift.
Right, depending on the solenoid.
Right. Any pressure that's on the opposite side of that piston is bled off through the opposite shift solenoid, the one that's not engaged, drains back into the crankcase sump,
Okay.
okay?
So that it doesn't hydraulic and can't open.
Correct,
Okay.
exactly.
Yep.
Okay. Now, once we turn that solenoid off, the pressure that was on the one side, or fluid, is then drained off back through and back to the crankcase sump on the opposite side.
Okay. So the shifter's back in the neutral. The shift shuttle's back in the neutral position.
Or the
because-
mid position.
mid position because it's shifted. So now how do we re-engage the clutch?
All right, to re-engage the clutch, the first thing we do is turn off the clutching solenoid. Then the pressure is, we activate the modulation solenoid. We pulse width modulate a signal to it
Okay.
and slowly bleed off the pressure from the clutch servo and re-engage.
Okay, so the modulation solenoid modulates it so that it re-engages the clutch smoother?
Yes, that's all part of the calibration from the transmission control module.
Okay, so that's pretty clear. That's going to be a good addition to the scene for sure.
I hope so.
Yeah, no, I like it.
Now, the next thing we're going to need to do is we need to do some work on the clutch, I think.
Okay,
All right.
well, let's spin it around.
I already disassembled it, that's why I sent you off to get that Loctite. But this is the centrifugal clutch portion of the clutch. It's quite a bit different than probably anything you've seen in any other
Yes, I don't
type.
think too many people have seen a system like that.
No. These are the centrifugal flyweights.
Okay.
Centrifugal force, as the engine spins, forces these flyweights to the outside.
Okay.
And they act against a ramp on the inside here,
Right.
which pushes against this plate, which engages the clutch.
So it's calibrated with a specific weight of the rollers so that it engages at 1800 RPM?
That's
is that-
right, just
okay.
about 1800. So every time that I accelerate the engine, the RPM increases,
Yes.
okay? Once it gets to 1800, this closes the clutch
Centrifugal
plate,
force. Okay, yeah.
all right? Once the engine drops below 1800 RPM, these roll back down and the clutch disengages.
Right.
That's kind of like pulling the clutch on a manual version, so you don't and shut the engine down,
Right.
or stall when you come to a stop.
Yep.
Okay? I also prepared an animation for that.
Okay, well, let's have a look.
You'll see here that as the engine RPM increases, the centrifugal weights roll up against that ramp, forcing this plate up against the clutch plate, which closes,
Okay. Yeah.
and then it'll engage the clutches.
Okay, yeah, that's a good animation. It's
Okay.
pretty straightforward, but it's a good animation for them to see.
Okay, I think we'll use this one too.
Yep, for sure.
Okay, excellent. So what I want to do is, we want to start to install this. So I took it apart, so we're going to have to put it back together.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there.
Now, are there any special tools needed for this, or?
Nothing really too special, but we're going to have to modify one that we already have.
Okay,
All right, the first thing we want to do is we're going to install the centrifugal clutch assembly back into the clutch basket.
okay,
We've got the engine locked with the crankshaft locking bolt, but we want to make sure it's aligned properly.
okay.
You see that hole right there?
Yeah,
That's got to align with that dimple,
oh, okay,
okay?
yep.
To retain the centrifugal clutch assembly, we need to install this snap ring.
Okay,
Next, we have to install the clutch hub, Dennis.
okay,
Okay, so we're going to fit that right onto the spline. I'm going to install the wave washer. Then I'm going to take and apply some Loctite. At that point, we need to use our modified clutch holding tool.
okay, we
Okay.
had to modify it, why?
The back of the clutch hub has a space in between there and the centrifugal clutch.
Oh, okay,
And if we don't put two bolts in here, it'll fall in between the two.
okay,
Okay, and we won't be able to get it out. So we're going to slide this into place. Crankshaft is locked. Now we're going to torque it to specification. Now we can remove our clutch holding tool.
Okay.
The next plate that goes in, you'll see has a hole in it. You want to install the flat side towards the clutch plates. Next, we install our clutch plates. We put them in alternately, fiber, steel.
So that's a standard installation, just like you would have throughout the industry already for that part.
Correct. The last clutch plate, we want to turn one off the side and install that plate.
Okay, and what's the purpose of that?
It adds strength to the clutch plate basket. Finally, we have our wave washer. Goes on the outside. That helps to cushion the shift. That's our clutch spring. I'm going to install our retaining ring. All right, now we're going to put on the clutch servo piston. Next, we're going to install the clutch release shaft nut. Be sure to install the proper Loctite. We need to secure the center of the shaft with an Allen wrench. Hold the center of the shaft and turn the release nut. Next, we're going to install the outer cover. Next, we need to install the banjo bolt for the oil feed line to the clutch servo. Normally, we would have to bleed a hydraulic clutch servo, Dennis, but in this system, we don't need to. In the top of it, there's an 8-bar regulator with a small orifice.
Okay.
Any air that's trapped in the system is automatically bled out and drains back to the crankcase.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Now that the clutch is assembled, we have another animation that we need to take a look at to see the clutch in operation. Okay, let's take a look over here. Okay, you see, Dennis, here's the centrifugal clutch assembly, and it rests up against this clutch stack. On the other side is the clutch servo, release servo and apply servo.
Right.
Okay, the first thing that happens is the engine goes over 1800 RPM. The centrifugal rollers roll outward, forcing the centrifugal clutch plate and closing the clutch or engaging the clutch plates.
Right.
Okay? After that happens, when we go to shift it, we send hydraulic pressure down that line into the clutch servo against the clutch piston, which releases the clutch pack from the opposite side.
So it disengages the clutch.
It disengages and engages the clutch every time it shifts from this side while the centrifugal clutch stays engaged.
Right.
The centrifugal clutch stays engaged until the RPM drops below 1800, then it disengages from this side. Okay?
Yep.
You think that'll clarify the clutch
Oh,
operation?
that's pretty straightforward. They should be able to understand that pretty easy.
Okay,
It's
excellent.
definitely a benefit to show that.
Now, the only thing else we didn't talk about was the blipper. This is the blipper solenoid, okay? What happens is the blipper solenoid engages and kicks the throttle open about 15 degrees on deceleration during downshift, okay? That does a couple things. One, it keeps you from lunging forward. The other thing it does is keeps the centrifugal clutch from disengaging, keeps it up over 1800 RPM, okay? If you were ever have to change this or set it, you could go into buds, activate the blipper solenoid, and set it to 15 degrees of opening with buds,
Okay.
okay?
Yep.
And it's located right on the side of the throttle valve. Well, Dennis, I think that's about all I've got for this scene.
No, I think we've got everything we need. We've got really good animations with the video. If we show them disassembly, reassembly, all the major components that they need to be aware of for the SE5, I think they're going to be set to go. I think it's going to be an awesome scene.
All right, perfect. The film crew is going to be here soon. The SE5 is exciting. This DVD is going to be exciting. Spider is exciting.
And I can't wait to drive one.
Neither can I. Let's go. Let's
All
go
right.
meet the film crew.